What is going on, Sports Wars? We're here, we're live, and without that annoying guy that you guys always complain about, who's always talking about Tim Tebow. Jeremy, he's on the road. He's headed to Vegas. I'm going to meet up with him in a day or two. But it's just me and John today talking about woke Olympics, talking about Megan Rapinoe, talking about LeBron James being a little bitch like always. And, of course, the Olympics that are just the worst ratings they've ever had. Because when you get broke, you will go broke. People don't want to watch people protesting. People just want to watch people go out there and compete and be proud to be American. But speaking of someone who's very proud to be an American, John Matrix, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm definitely proud to be an American. I'm not an Olympian, but at least I love my country. At least I'm not destroying sports like Megan Rapinoe, Raven Saunders, Gwen Berry. Disaster at the Olympics.
Oh, yeah. They have been an absolute disaster. That's the only way to put it. And when we look at these ratings, which we're going to dig into, that bears that all out, that people are not interested in Olympics where protesting and social justice and virtue signaling is pushed so much to the forefront. What we do like are stories like we saw in women's wrestling. Tamara, I don't know exactly how to say her name. Tamara.
I think it's Tamara Mansa-Stock. She's a Houston girl.
Yeah, like what we saw with her, and we're not going to be able to play the video because literally every time I show any of that clip,
man, everybody's trying to play it.
Boom, every time Olympic boom takes it down.
Whitlock tried to put it in his podcast and they cut out.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's because they know, well, one, I think they want to receive all possible revenue from that because it knows like a big viral thing. But also it may just be a case of they don't want people seeing that. I don't know. It's very strange to me because I put an appeal and 30 seconds later it got denied. That never happens. So they're actively watching that shit.
You can't show anybody be pro-American. If this is protesting, it'll be perfectly okay to show. But this is the world we're living in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what you saw from her, and if we both made videos about it, what you saw from her after she won, it was so refreshing to see that because she was I'm just so excited. I'm so proud to represent my country. I love living in the United States of America. It's amazing. That's the kind of story that people tune into the Olympics for. That's the thing that draws us back. Yeah. The Olympics makes stars out of people because of moments like that. Not these people that walk in there with all these expectations, with all this fucking arrogance, with just the decision to make it about yourself instead of about representing your country. And that was the problem so many of our athletes had this Olympics. And we just barely snuck out the gold medal lead from China in the last night of the Olympics by one. 39
you want to know why? I'm going to take credit because I called them out. I said, man, we're getting our butts kicked by China. They had like a 7 medal lead in the goal. And then after that, U.S. came back. So I guess I got to take the credit.
Well, and like a lot of it kind of does depend, when you have like a lot of the things that China typically is better at in the Olympics at the beginning. And then at the end, you have a lot of the track and field events that you're going to see more medals from the Americans than you will from not the men's track and field athletes.
The men's track and field was an utter embarrassment.
Yeah. Well, the women dominated in a lot of ways, at least in several of the relays and several individual events. The female American athletes did come back and win several gold medals. It made a big difference there. But overall, let's say hi to the chat, then we'll get into the Olympics ratings, all of that stuff. Thank you guys for being here today. Of course, it flew back on me. Lulu21 for a $3 super chat. Thank you so much, Lulu, with a fist bump. Thank you. Bweezy Bird for $5, kind of just as we talked about. Lots of excuses coming from Yahoo Sports for China being second place at the Olympics after praising China for being over the U.S. for most of it. Yeah. Again, that's how it works typically is you'll see it slowly change, especially depending on what events are scheduled at the beginning versus the end. But yeah, United States comes through. And I wanted to talk about the men's basketball team a little bit. Now, we have given the U.S. men's basketball team a lot of shit, and rightfully so, for the way that they performed in the lead up to this Olympics, for how disengaged so many of these people looked. But they did end up winning the gold medal almost solely because of Kevin Durant. And
it was an unimpressive goal.
Oh, it was
not
an
impressive.
unimpressive goal. The only person that was impressive was Kevin Durant. Like, he's the only dude who showed up to play, it seems. This gold medal belongs to Kevin Durant. And he called out some people. He called out some people, especially people at ESPN, in the immediate aftermath, which was interesting. Kevin Durant and Draymond here, literally right after they won the gold medal, going live to Instagram.
We're grinding for this one. We're going to go up the stairs. Everybody who said we were going to take the L, they had some power rankings on.
Kendrick Perkins, you talk a lot of shit. A lot of shit. They had act like you American.
They had some power rankings out. They had us 40 behind us 14.
Like this not our game.
Come on, man. Talking about they catching up to us. Like, are you serious? This skill is unmatched. You dig? Shout out to everybody that won this gold, everybody that chipped in and helped out. We're going to the press conference, but I had to talk my shit real quick.
So really? But you know what? He was not talking. He wasn't talking like that when they were losing to Nigeria.
No.
He wasn't talking like that when they lost to Australia.
No, and those were embarrassing. And in France early on in the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's a good thing he did it because he shouldn't have been talking then. This was, like you said, this was not impressive. They won in the final. I think they won by 7 points. They just snuck by a couple teams. Not an impressive victory in any way, shape, or form. I see Lyndon in the chat from Australia. They were down. Well, it might have been tied, but they were down for much of the first half against Australia, and then a massive third quarter from Kevin Durant basically pushed them ahead. Kevin Durant was the only person that seemed to show up. Everybody else, nothing. Damian Lillard was almost completely absent from this. A lot of other members of Team USA, these all NBA players that just did not show up. It was a pathetic showing, and they were lucky to walk away with the gold medal here. I did think it was interesting. Like you mentioned, they've got all these people who are kneeling for the fucking national anthem that want to protest all this Black Lives Matter garbage during the bubble. But now they're saying, act like you're American to people in the media who are criticizing them. I'm all for criticizing Kendrick Perkins and ESPN because, quite frankly, Kendrick Perkins is one of the dumbest people I have ever heard on live television.
And he's from my hometown too, man. He represents Beaumont, Texas, like that.
That's rough because he's legitimately listened to the dude speak. He is one of the dumbest, most low IQ individuals on television right now. So it's interesting to see the athletes call out the mainstream media while at the same time barely sliding by and winning a gold that should have been an automatic check in the box for U.S. men's athletics. But it's just not right now because they're too focused on other stuff.
Yeah. And I saw the trolls in our comment section on videos. Well, U.S. men's basketball team won gold. They're supposed to win gold. Yeah. Actually, they should have won this game by 20-something at least.
Yeah, when you look at these rosters and you look at France, right? So France has, they got Evan Fournier, they got Rudy Gobert, they got Nicholas Batum,
three NBA players, I think.
And some quality NBA players there. But when you look at the depth of that roster and how the rest of it fills out, it should not be a struggle like this. And you have to give credit to Kevin Durant because he's the only dude. Without Kevin Durant, this team probably doesn't even
loses,
come close to a medal. Kevin Durant is the only reason that this team won the gold medal. Nobody else came to play. Devin Booker on occasion, Drew Holiday on occasion. That is it. A pretty pathetic showing from Team USA in general, but they do come away with the gold medal. So a rough time at the Olympics for them. Jabraylin Van Zant for $4. When does Subway and Victoria's Secret drop Megan? We are going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that. Don't worry. But thank you for the reminder. Steve L for $5. What do you guys think of maskless Obama at his birthday bash? Did you see that?
Hypocrisy. That's a super spreader event, but I'll move on.
if you like real quick, because I don't want to focus too much on that for this stream, but if you are really one of these people that's justifying or buying into this narrative that, oh, you got to do it. You got to do it because you're spreading, if you're vaxxed, you can still spread it. You got to mask up. All these people are the reason. All these MAGA people are the reason that it's spreading. If you're legitimately trying to justify that narrative, you're one of those fucking retarded motherfuckers who actually believes what the media and what the government's trying to tell you about this. And then you look at that, the elites, all these celebrities, all these politicians, all these late night comedians getting together at Obama's house, whether they're vaxxed or unvaxxed, it doesn't really matter. They don't have masks like they're trying to tell you to do. They're not social distancing like they're trying to tell you to do. It's rules for thee, but not for me when it comes to them. It's hypocrisy. And that should tell you all you need to know. All those people likely have access to all the best information about all this, right? You would think. That should tell you all you need to know. They have no problems, no qualms whatsoever about getting together and partying while they want you to be locked up, while they want to reinstitute lockdowns and face masks and social distancing. It's fucking bullshit.
That's the way socialists work, because you got Sylvester Turner inside the city of Houston violating Texas law right now by mandating that employees of the city of Houston have to wear masks, violating the law right now. But nobody's saying anything about Barack Socialist Obama and his super spreader event.
Yep. And I see, we always get retards in the chat here. But MAGA's really spreading COVID. Numbers don't lie. Trump tards. You know who the highest percentage of people that are unvaccinated right now is? Black Biden voters.
It's black people.
That's weird. That's very strange. Very weird, but I don't know. Maybe you don't care about that data. You just want to take the data that your government is fucking you in the ass with.
Hey, don't tell that to Bill de Blasio, because apparently black people can't participate in society in New York City. Just letting you know that.
There you go. When we don't want to require driver's licenses or ID to vote, but we want to require passports to enter local businesses. That's where we're at in America right now. AJ Gutrung for 5. Hey, Ryan and John, just want to say I'm about to start college, and your videos help keep my stress levels down. Love your takes and the channel. Well, thank you, AJ. I can't believe that we keep your stress levels down, but I appreciate that. Glad to help in any way. Patel Run 6 for $2. Do you two watch the We the People wine ad? I saw people sharing this wine ad around where it was basically, I've heard it was basically has nothing to do with wine and everything to do with triggering people about January 6th. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I haven't heard about it.
All right. But someone brought up Megan Rapinoe. We need to talk about Megan Rapinoe, because Megan Rapinoe is one of the most unlikable people on the face of this earth. People despise her. People don't want to tune in to watch her. People disliked her before all this protesting and kneeling garbage started to become mainstream. She's been despised for quite a long time. And now Subway owners, Subway franchisees are having to deal with the backlash from Subway sponsoring her, and they want her gone. Take a look at this. I got to give a shout out to you guys over at Black and White Sports, because you're the first place I saw this story. Subway franchisees are fed up with Megan Rapinoe's TV ads. Megan Rapinoe kicked up another round of controversy at the Tokyo Olympics, and now a group of Subway franchisees are pressuring the fast food giant to give her the boot. The 36-year-old purple-haired soccer star who kneeled during the national anthem to kick off the Tokyo Olympics before leading the U.S. to a bronze medal began a stint as a pitchwoman for the fast food giant this spring. In one spot, Rapinoe has been a vocal proponent of equal rights and equal pay for women. Not true. That is not true at all. Because as has been proven in a court of law, the women get paid more than the men do for their activities with the U.S. national teams. That's the truth. That's the bottom line. They get paid more from the country.
She should be pushing for equal pay for the men.
I agree. It's just not right. It's just not right, Megan. Fight for equality, not for the equity that you actually desire. But she knocks a burrito out of a guy's hand by kicking a soccer ball at him. The response has been mixed, according to franchisees. Late last month, on a discussion forum operated by the North American Association of Subway Franchisees, a Wisconsin store operator posted a picture of a hand-scrawled note from an irate customer. Boycott Subway until Subway fires the anti-American Megan Rapinoe, the creep who kneels for our beloved national anthem. The ad should be pulled and done with, said of the Rapinoe spot. It gets tiring apologizing. Now, this is interesting that this is blowing up like this. Megan Rapinoe has been pushed to the forefront by the woke sports media. Always they give her all this airtime, despite the fact that she has been miserable for the U.S. national team. She used to be a good soccer player, maybe about 8 years ago. She's not good anymore. She's just not that good. What she gets attention for are her antics, her anti-American attitude, her basically saying, I'm not going to the fucking White House if Trump's there, her kneeling during the national anthem. She is a disease that people despise. One of the reasons the Olympics ratings are so bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% spot on. I mean, she's more famous now for kneeling than her play. Yeah, she scored, I believe, 2 goals in a bronze medal match. But when was the last time she was any good? And that letter right there tells everybody now that the customers of Subway, and by the way, why is anybody still eating Subway? There's much better places than Subway. If you're out here in the Houston area, Lenny's Sub Shop is way better than Subway, but I digress.
Well, I'll be honest too. I go to Subway. I get the wraps there because when I'm on a diet, it's okay, and I don't really care. But I do go to Subway every once in a while. Jersey Mike's is way better.
Good. Jersey Mike's sucks. I hate Jersey Mike's.
What?
I don't like it. It's disgusting.
Well, we're gonna have a fight. We're gonna have a fight.
There's a Jersey Mike's down the road for me. I don't like it.
You don't like Jersey Mike's. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm sorry you can't trust John Matrix anymore, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll continue on. Subway doesn't own its locations, but charges franchisees 4.5% of their revenue. Now these store owners are saying, especially in red states, that the Megan Rapinoe ads are losing them business and losing them money, and they want her gone. That is how bad it has gotten for this woke piece of garbage. And it's unfortunate that someone like Carly Lloyd, who evidently does love her country and wants to stand for the national anthem, wants to stand beforehand and not kneel in some sort of ridiculous protest, that
actually, she's the only one standing. She is the only one standing on that team.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. She is the only one that is standing up while all these other people kneel. She's not giving in to peer pressure. She's not going to sit there and say America's a ist-phobe country, whatever they're trying to say. So it's sad that she gets lumped in with a lot of these people the rest of the time because she truly is someone who's standing up. But Megan Rapinoe, now pressure from Subway franchisees to pull her ads because she's so despised, because people hate woke Megan Rapinoe. I can't say I feel bad for her. Not a big fan of cancel culture in general, but these are franchise owners who are saying, hey, listen, these TV ads are losing us money. You need to do something. Yeah. That tells you everything you need to know.
They're just responding to their customers.
Exactly.
That's a customer letter right there. That's not from the franchisees, but the franchisees, they listen to their customers. They're listening to the feedback.
I agree with this person. The pizza at Subway is absolutely terrible. It's a fucking travesty. It's a travesty. But anyway, that's what's going on with Megan Rapinoe. So shout out to you guys for being, that video is probably blowing up for you, huh?
Yeah. I think it was like 107,000 views when I last checked.
Yeah, that's good.
It's doing good.
Someone said Firehouse subs. Yes, Firehouse is good.
I've been to Firehouse a few times.
I like Firehouse.
But I don't eat carbs now, so I'm not going to any of these places.
We've got a couple Streamlabs, one from Mike Hill for $5. RIP Bobby Bowden. Yeah, we got to talk about that a little bit. Bobby Bowden, absolute legend, Florida State head coach. 91. Is that right?
Yeah, 91. That's a hell of a good run, man.
91. So, RIP to Bobby Bowden.
He was still of sound mind till the end. He didn't lose his mind.
Yeah, so RIP to him. We wanted to make sure we talked about that today. So thank you to Mike Hill for that. College football is going to be interesting this year, especially with these shakeups we now have going on with Texas and Oklahoma. Leaving the Big 12 to join the SEC. What could happen? And that's obviously not this year. That's several years away. But
2025, if I'm not mistaken.
2025. But what that will do is the rest of the Big 12 now has to be up for grabs.
Yeah.
So who's going to go to the Big 10? Who's going to go to the Pac?
It's probably going to end up being more like 2 super conferences in college football. The NCAA, I believe they're done. They're relevant now. All the power is going to end up laying with the conferences now.
Well, I think that you're going to see the SEC, obviously, the Big 10,
the SEC and
the ACC and the Pac-12 or Pac-16 is what it'll end up being probably. But I think you'll see like Iowa State and Kansas end up going to the Big 10. West Virginia is Big 12 right now. They'll probably go back to the ACC. So it's not going to be Power 5 anymore. It's going to be Power 4. But I think we're a ways away from like just 2 conferences or something like that.
It may get to that way. We'll have to see.
We'll see.
Because think of this, you're going to have a bidding war for the recruits. It ain't about just recruiting. Oh, I'm going to get my endorsement deals if I go here versus this other place. Yeah, that's going to play a factor.
That is honestly, it's going to be crazy. This first couple of years of this is going to be crazy. You got the kid at Alabama who already made like $1 million. $1
million already.
And like we had this argument before this discussion, like so much of that is because like the reason people care a lot about some athletes is because they went to a university, because of the prestige of that university. You wouldn't know that person's name if they weren't the starting quarterback at Michigan or at, Florida or wherever. So you obviously have these players that bring in so much money for the colleges, but at the same time, the college does give you like notoriety. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're going to be getting these endorsement deals because you're the starting quarterback for Alabama.
Right.
So it's an interesting thing that's going to play out for sure. But Mike Hill for another $5 on Streamlabs. I wonder, Megan, bend the knee when the women's basketball team got their gold medals. I don't know. I do know the women's basketball team won the gold medals or won the gold medal. I don't really care. There's only like 5 good female basketball players in the world as far as I'm concerned. So there's just no depth of talent. That's why the WNBA still they only have 8 teams. There's still too many. There's just not a lot of good
they've lost more teams.
Women basketball players.
I think they've actually lost more teams than they actually have now.
Let me look. It might be 12. How many WNBA teams are there? 12. There's 12 right now.
12. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how many can you name, John?
Well, I remember the Houston Comets, and they're no longer.
They're not there anymore.
San Antonio. They're no longer in existence. That's pretty much it.
All right. Chicago Sky, Washington Mystics, New York Liberty,
Seattle Storm,
Phoenix,
Connecticut Sun. If I'm not mistaken.
Connecticut Sun, which is a dumb fucking name for a cloudy city.
And of course, the Atlanta Dream, but we know them for all the woke reasons.
Atlanta Dream. The LA Sparks still a thing?
Yeah, I think they're
Phoenix, there. Phoenix Mercury.
Mercury, that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. That's about all I got.
Does Oklahoma have?
No, there's a Minnesota Lynx.
Yeah, Minnesota Lynx.
God, what a fucking terrible.
You said Washington Mystics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of them, but we still can barely remember it.
Las Vegas Aces. Joe Bob Tar Heel put in the chat.
What? I've never even heard of them.
Detroit Shock.
No, I didn't heard of them either. Interesting. Air to the Run for $5. Appreciate you guys in the daily videos. Check out the Messi NFT launch soon. Why don't we talk about that? Listen, we put it in the title. Even though we never talk soccer and don't really know anything about soccer, but this is just a massive thing. This this is the biggest soccer star in the world and who has been the biggest soccer star. You know, between him and Ronaldo, obviously everyone's always going to have that kind of debate. But
I think Lionel is probably the bigger name at this point.
Messi is officially leaving Barcelona, signing with Paris Saint-Germain. And he had a press conference today. She went out there and, you know, everybody just gave him like 2 minutes of applause and he was just in tears. And again, we're not going to pretend like we're experts on soccer, but it's a big fucking story. It's a big fucking story out there in the sports world that we wanted to talk about. This is, you know, this is Michael Jordan. This is not Michael Jordan like retiring and then coming back a few years later to play with the team he's on. This is Michael Jordan just the Bulls saying, hey, we don't want to pay you as much as you want to get paid, and him going somewhere else. You know, I know it's not confirmed, Lyndon. I know it's not confirmed, and he didn't necessarily say that, but according to everybody, it sounds like Paris Saint-Germain is happening. But yeah.
No, I thought it was confirmed.
Well, I don't, it's not been announced. We'll say that. Hasn't been announced in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, this is MJ leaving the Bulls for the Knicks. Look at that.
That's good analogy.
So, oh my God, he's going to the Los Angeles Lakers, guys. He's going to the Los Angeles Lakers. But there you go. Messi officially gone from Barcelona. ESPN sources said a deal with Paris Saint-Germain has already been agreed. From everything I've heard, it sounds like Barcelona just didn't want to pay him as much as maybe he thought. I don't know.
Isn't he a little bit older too? Isn't he like 36 or something?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's been around a long time, but his play hasn't necessarily dropped off, even though he's getting that. He's 34 right here.
34. Okay. Gotcha,
34.
Gotcha.
I don't think that. Or he says, I did everything I could to stay and it wasn't possible. I offered to reduce my salary by 50%.
Wow.
And Barcelona didn't ask for anything else. They didn't ask for another 30%. That's a lie. So this is all of his quotes. I'm really sad because I didn't want to leave because this is the club I love. I didn't expect this. I have never lied. I have always been honest and upfront. Last year, I wanted to leave. This year, I didn't. That's why I'm so sad. As the president has explained, the club has debt problems. It's not possible. Why keep drawing it out if it's nearly impossible? The talks stopped as Barcelona did not want to go on. They knew La Liga would not let it happen. It was impossible.
Wow.
So,
I mean, I understand how he feels, man. I mean, I'm an Astros fan. I remember 2009, the Astros traded Roy Oswalt and Lance Berkman away from the Astros. I was like, man, that sucks. And that just came to my mind because they were inducted into the Astros Hall of Fame yesterday, and that's the first time I've seen Roy Oswalt, talk in a while. So similar, but not the same.
Yeah, I think that this is sports, right? In baseball, sometimes some people can get away with it, just spending limited amounts of money, depending on the rules, depending on your salary cap or a soft cap or things like that. Lyndon's saying it's because of financial fair play rules. So the NFL is, for Americans, the biggest sport in America, obviously, is the NFL. And that has a very hard, strict cap. You cannot go over the cap. There are very specific rules associated with it. And it's interesting because then basketball, you have a soft cap where you can spend a lot of money, but you can't spend too much money.
Yeah.
You can't just continue to sign people once you do hit that soft cap. You have to sign like league minimum players, things like that. You have some special exceptions. And then baseball, it's just fair game. You get the luxury tax, but it's fair play. So Lionel Messi, sad to leave Barcelona. And I'm sure every Barcelona fan is sad to see him go.
Yep.
But we don't really know anything about soccer, but that's the story.
No. Did you catch some of the Hall of Fame game?
I didn't watch any of it. I watched a little bit of like the intro stuff, but I don't care about that because
the ratings were massive for that game. That was
I don't know. Were they massive compared to like what they were for the game last year and the year
Well,
before?
they didn't have one last year because of the virus.
Well, I guess you're right.
Yeah. But I can't remember what it was. Rhodes put up a video on the live channel about it, and it was huge. A bunch of people tuned in. But the NFL is going to be woke at the beginning, so we'll have to see if people start turning off their TV once they see Black National Anthem, kneeling and protesting again.
People are hungry for sports.
Yeah.
People want to see sports. But if you're continuing to push this bullshit, then people are going to eventually tune out. Jabraylin Van Zant for $5. John, if you're ever in Carrollton, Texas area, go check out Gen Korean Barbecue House.
Gen Korean. Carrollton.
Gen. Gen or Gen?
GEN Barbecue?
GEN, Korean Barbecue House.
Oh, Korean Barbecue House.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at that. Gen Korean. Apparently, I think that's one in Houston.
There you go.
Yeah, that's one out here in Houston. So I don't need to go to Carrollton. It's downtown Houston.
That sounds gross.
No,
Adrian,
it's probably in the tunnel downtown. Got to pay to park down there too. That sucks.
Yeah. Well, I think that when we look at the NFL and look at what ratings could be, they obviously, people love the NFL. It is fucking massive. But you look at those Super Bowl ratings, and we have a Super Bowl between the biggest like new up and coming, and by up and coming, they've already won a fucking Super Bowl, obviously. But Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, that story, versus Tom fucking Brady after leaving the Patriots on a new team. And it's one of the worst rated Super Bowls we've seen in fucking years. You know, that tells you that there's a lot of people that tuned out and did not come back to the NFL. So we'll see what happens this year. Because that's a matchup made in fucking heaven. Matchup made in heaven. And
I do expect the ratings to be better this season than last season, but not dramatically better. Like the NBA season's ratings were up from the bubble, but still not great.
Yeah, they're still down overall.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Adrian Alvarez for $20. Woke Olympics was trash. Rather be watching the San Francisco Giants and other professional sports in the Olympics. Excited for the upcoming season. There you go. Well, thank you very much for the $20, Adrian. And we're going to talk about those Olympics ratings here in a second. Rock Steady for $5. Shout out to U.S. Wrestling. Lots of medals and a pair of gold won in the final seconds. U.S. Wrestling specifically, we talked about Tamira Mensah-Stock, the incredible performance she gave and what made her a superstar. Just loving your country is enough to make you a superstar if you're an Olympic athlete nowadays, because it's so rare. It makes you stand out. Yes, shout out to USA Wrestling. Jabraylin Van Zant for $3. It was cool seeing skateboarding, surfing, and BMX. See, I didn't watch any of the BMX or surfing. I saw a little bit of the skateboarding, though. Mick Walsh for €5. Subway tastes like dog poo anyway, even before Megan Rapinoe ruined the brand. Want to go Whataburger with John Matrix and Jeremy.
Whataburger is so good.
Yeah, Whataburger's pretty good. It's better than In-N-Out, that's for sure. That's not really saying much. But yeah. Better than Whataburger. I mean,
In-N-Out is trying to break into the Houston market. They got like 2 or 3 locations. I mean, it's okay, but it ain't great.
It's fine. It's not worth fucking waiting in some long ass line for. I'll tell you that.
Man,
I would say one thing too: the spicy ketchup at Whataburger is the shit, man. I love that stuff.
Man, I remember when the In-N-Out burger joint by Willowbrook Mall in Houston opened. I went to try it out. That wait for the line was like an hour and a half. I was like, I need to try it. I keep hearing about In-N-Out. I get it, and I'm like, this ain't better than Whataburger. And you don't have to wait in a long line like that.
Mm-hmm. Bronx Slayer for $5. I wonder why Jeremy's driving to Vegas. Is he going to visit Area 51? Will he visit the Overlords? The mystery of what's under his hat will be exposed. It's up to you, Ryan Mulder, to find out. I'm going to be seeing Jeremy in a couple days when I get to Vegas. I'm driving there, but it's only like a 5.5 hour drive for me, depending on traffic. Jeremy's driving from fucking Florida to Vegas.
I wish I would have known about it earlier, but do a Texas meetup.
We've been talking about it for forever. But yeah, I'm looking
so much more free. Texas is so much more free.
I'm sure we'll probably do a Texas one at some point. We're definitely going to do a Florida one soon.
Yeah, I'll go to the Florida one. Let's
see. Joshua Taylor for Canadian $5. Thank you. Kenosha 3-point shooter. Interesting name for $2. Investigating Lonzo and Lowry, but not Westbrook. Yeah. So I'm meant to make an NBA free agent video because it's crazy.
The teams can't collude, but the players can.
There are certain restrictions, but yeah. So of course, there's not going to be anything for Westbrook. LeBron James is the fucking GM of that team.
Yeah,
let's not get it twisted. LeBron James is the GM of the Lakers. Yeah. We got to talk about his crying ass in a second, but I don't think Russell Westbrook's going to work on that team. But yeah, Lonzo Ball, they're investigating the Bulls for tampering. Kyle Lowry, the Kyle Lowry deal is under investigation as well for the sign-in trades. That's the difference between the free agency stuff versus the sign-in trades. So that's probably why it's a little bit different. I don't know because I think that Lonzo and Kyle Lowry both were sign-in trades, if I'm not wrong. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I'm not sure.
And I don't think Russell Westbrook was a sign-in trade. So maybe they're wondering if somebody talked to them to make sure that they would sign before they did the trade. It's all bullshit. Collusion happens all the time in the NBA. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. It's kind of just normal operations as far as I'm concerned. But they traded, but I don't think it was a sign-in trade. That's what I'm asking. Kenosha 3-point shooter, where I think
I don't think it was a sign-in trade.
Lonzo Ball collusion. Let me look at this up. God, collisions. I don't mean collisions. Why would I mean collisions? Breaking down. Here it is. Yes, and I do think I think that is why right here. NBA opens investigation to Lonzo Ball, Kyle Lowry sign and trade deals, sources say. And I think that's why. It's because it's the sign and trades. And to be honest, like if you're going to for these things, a lot of what you're giving up is going to be dependent on keeping that person for a while. I do not believe that Westbrook did a sign and trade. I think it was just a trade for Westbrook. But Lonzo Ball, Kyle Lowry were definitely sign and trade deals. So they're essentially signing an extension while they get traded for. That is, I think, why this is happening. But yeah, 100% there was collusion getting Russell Westbrook to come to
That's already
LA.
Been out there.
Yeah, that was out there for weeks.
LeBron and Anthony Davis met with him at LeBron's house like 2 weeks before the deal went down.
Mm-hmm.
That was player collusion, which is legal.
And to me, like Lonzo Ball, I'm not a big Lonzo Ball fan. He did have, I guess, maybe his best season. But now you got Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and you still got Kobe White, who, a lot of people in Chicago liked what they saw from Kobe White. So you could play DeMar at small forward. I guess you can play Zach at small forward, depending on your lineup for the rest of everything too. But yeah, it's getting a little bit crowded there with guards on the Bulls. Force Match says Bulls are back. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's my understanding of why there's probably not an investigation into the Russell Westbrook stuff, vice the Lowry and the Lonzo stuff. Okay, still don't get penalizing non-contenders. Well, I agree with that. I agree with that. Well, the Heat are going to be a contender. Pretty sure.
They just didn't they just re-sign Jimmy Butler? He got a nice little deal.
He got a max deal, yeah. He got a max deal. And I like Jimmy. I'm a Jimmy guy. Gerald Armstrong for $3. R.I.P. Bobby Bowden, great coach and even greater man. Yes, Gerald, I agree. R.I.P. Vandom for $10. Ryan, did you hear what the GM of the Cubs said about Rizzo, Baez, and Bryant? I think he's just trying to cover for his incompetence. Also, Jersey Mike's over Subway. You're right about Jersey Mike's. I think there's a lot of bad feelings at the table right now between the Cubs and their guys the Cubs GM and then Baez, Rizzo, and Bryant. I like Rizzo and I like Bryant. I don't believe. So Bryant came out and said that the last time they had an extension talk was after the World Series. I don't believe that. I just don't. I think that it was bad for the Cubs GM to come out and say, that the only person who was willing to come to the table was Kyle Hendricks. I'm sure they talked. I'm sure that they have talked. And it's a bad look to come out and kind of throw shade on these guys who are leaving, especially when so many people in Chicago still want them there. You can't pay all those guys. That was obvious. You were never going to be able to pay all of them. But now they all left within 24 hours of each other, and it fucking sucks. And they keep making PR mistakes because people are going to side with the players, not the GM. That's almost always how it's going to happen in cases like this. Charles Barkley for 2. Tony Rizzo looks good in pinstripes. Lego Yankees. Well, he's been in pinstripes with the Cubs, just not the ones that you would like. He has COVID now, so he's not going to be playing for a while. Kenosha 3-point shooter for 2. Losing Theo Epstein hurt the Cubs. Yeah, Theo builds and then he leaves. He builds, makes champions, and then he leaves. That's kind of what he's done with the Red Sox, what he did with the Cubs. Really, you just had all these players who you knew were all going to have to get paid at the same time. And they put it off and put it off and put it off until the end to try to make it work, and it just didn't. So now they're in a situation where you lose all of them at the same time. And it sucks. That's how baseball is, unfortunately.
Yep.
All right, but we got to talk. We got to talk about. We talked about the Olympics a little bit already, but this is the proof that people do not want to watch this garbage. That they do not want to watch virtue signals, social justice protests. These entitled woke athletes. NBC sees worst case scenario as Olympics ratings plunge amid woke protests. Experts have pointed to woke anti-U.S. protests from American athletes as part of the lack of interest. NBC is giving advertisers about airtime extra commercials due to the underwhelming ratings for this year's 2020 Olympic Games, which, of course, taking place in 2021, fueled by a pandemic-weary population and backlash against woke athletes protesting the U.S. flag and the national anthem. NBC's primetime coverage for the Tokyo Olympics on July 26 averaged 14.7 million, a 49% drop compared to last year, and last Summer Olympics, and a 53% drop compared to the 2012 Olympics. They have lost half of their audience. Half of their audience when you look at this. It is indeed a worst case scenario for NBC. And this is what happens. Mainstream media, this is what happens when you encourage this, when you prop this up, when you encourage people to hate their country and let everybody know that they hate their country. Half the population that doesn't agree with you is going to tune out. And that's what we're seeing. You agree, John?
Yep.
Well, there you go. John agrees.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with the woke athletes. How about that? No. Yeah. I mean, seriously though, when you tune in, and we said this before, we're probably going to sound like a broken record. When you tune into sports, you do not want to see the athletes be anti-American. I mean, did these athletes and did NBC not watch the NBA bubble? How that it just completely collapsed from the protests. And I'm going to blame the IOC also as well, because they had Rule 50 in place, and then week by week leading up to the Olympics, they started laxing it little by little by little. And now you had athletes in the Olympics just blatantly violating Rule 50. And what has the IOC done? Nothing. So, we're gonna investigate. They're not gonna do anything. They're spineless.
No, they're spineless. They're listening to the woke Twitter crowd, right? That doesn't actually represent people. That is why your ratings are dog shit, because you're listening to people who don't represent reality. That is the problem. The Olympics catered to them. All these sports these sports media networks continue to cater to them, and it is bad for business. It is bad for their ratings. And now we've seen nearly half of the audience walk away from the Olympics over this woke virtue signaling, and it's deserved. Because when you make it about that, when you celebrate those type of athletes and those type of people, you get what you fucking deserve. That's what the Olympics are getting right now. That's what NBC is getting.
Yep.
And it's, I wish you could say it's sad. It's sad as someone who used to enjoy watching Olympics. It's sad for me.
I used to love the Olympics.
It's sad for me to see these athletes, a lot of the U.S. swimmers who had incredible, like Caleb Dressel was a monster for the Americans. That 4x100 meter relay for the U.S. men's was phenomenal for them to win the way that they did. And, you know, a lot of that gets overshadowed by the garbage.
I used to love gymnastics. I used to love the female gymnastics. That was huge. I actually met Shannon Miller when I was in high school. She came down to Beaumont. And that was pretty amazing meeting her, because I was a big fan of hers in Barcelona in 92. Nowadays, I just don't care.
Kenosha 3-point shooter for 5. I remember being hyped to watch Bolt and Team USA and Michael Phelps. Now I just don't feel the same. Liberals ruin everything they touch. Yeah, I mean, the days of like tuning in to watch Michael Phelps try to go for 8 gold medals. Usain Bolt, who's not American, who's just a great story and like an electric athlete to watch. Usain Bolt, who has more respect for the American national anthem.
He stood for the U.S. anthem. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, they were interviewing him, right? And then the anthem was playing, and he told him, hey, stop, and he showed respect to our anthem.
They were interviewing Usain Bolt, and there was another competition or something going on in a medal awards. And so, like, he hears the U.S. national anthem playing, and he says, oh, hold on. And he turns around and stands there out of respect. He has more respect for our national anthem than a lot of our athletes, and that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Kenosha 3-point shooter for 2, reverse Midas touch. That's true. Joshua Taylor for Canadian $5. Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate that. One more thing we got to talk about today, because we got to make this kind of a quicker stream, is LeBron James. Now, I think we both made videos about these things. LeBron James does this a lot. He'll go out there, he'll tweet out something dumb as fuck, and he'll delete it after he gets backlash for it. LeBron James deletes fiery tweet calling out Lakers haters. The Lakers are on pace to be the oldest team maybe in NBA history.
Super duper old.
They've signed Melo. A 37-year-old Carmelo Anthony. They signed they traded for 32-year-old Russell Westbrook. Anthony Davis is really the only guy that's going to get significant playing time who's in, quote unquote, his physical prime at 28 years old. But this guy's Mr. Glass. This guy he has a tough time staying healthy as it is.
Yeah.
So they're getting some criticism for being like, this is a really old squad. I don't know if they're going to be able to cut it. And he freaks out, right?
Yeah.
He fucking keep talking about my squad. Our personnel ages, the way he plays. He stays injured. We're past our time in this league, et cetera, et cetera. Do me one favor, please. And I mean, please keep that same narrative energy when it begins. That's all I ask. Hashtag thank you with a fucking crown emoji because he's a fucking bitch.
Oh, God.
And he deletes this, of course, because a lot of people are like, you're really getting that sensitive about this, LeBron. Over and over again, we see him and his idiotic tweets, his poor grammar because he's a literal retard on social media. And he deletes it. So he puts the message out there, but then deletes it. The Lakers roster, which had an average age of 32.4 years old.
Man, that's old.
Not only oldest team in the moment, but also one of the oldest of all time. That's crazy.
That's why I've already said they're not getting out the West. I mean, their youngest player, Anthony Davis, cannot stay healthy. And Dwight Howard's on his team too. How old is Dwight Howard? 36?
Like 34 or something like that, probably.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. But yeah, and he's not, Anthony Davis isn't their younger player, but when I look at their roster, he's the youngest guy who's going to get like prime playing time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got a couple, 22, 23, 24-year-old guys who aren't going to get any time at all.
I think they only got like what, 3, maybe 4 players under 30.
Yeah, and
Wow.
again, none of those guys are going to really play. I mean, they
Yeah.
signed guys like Kent Bazemore, who's older. They signed Wayne Ellington, who's older. It's going to be an old squad, and it's like it's a reasonable thing to talk about. It's a reasonable thing to criticize.
It is,
And
because it never
LeBron
works
James
out.
gets sensitive and freaks out about it, and then deletes his tweet like a bitch after he tries to play the victim.
My Houston Rockets tried to do this in the 1990s, late 90s. It did not work out. You had old Barkley, old Clyde Drexler, old Akeem. Yeah, they played well. They actually got to the Western Conference Finals. They lost. And then they tried to bring in Scottie Pippen. They lost in the first round. It does not work when you have an old team.
Lakers with Malone and Peyton.
But however, with those Lakers, though, you still had prime Kobe and prime Shaq. But they got their ass kicked in the finals.
Bert for $5. I learned more about strip club economics yesterday. So instead of splitting this towards a dance at BoomerCon, here's to independent content. Thank you, Bert. I appreciate that. Yeah, $5 isn't going to get you far when you're talking lap dances, but I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you for the support. Omar Harris for $5. LeBron's also failing at Space Jam. Poor sales after an opening box office weekend success to a 70% decline plus China reject. Yeah, it sucks for LeBron. All that sucking of the Chinese cock to not even get it released there. Isn't that interesting? Thank you, Omar. Kenosha 3-point shooter for $5. I'll never understand how elite athletes have the time to scroll on Twitter. I barely got time to do that. Yeah. It's interesting how many people have time to do that. I mean, it is off season, I guess, because, he didn't compete in the Olympics and he had a lot of the playoffs off. But
he got eliminated in the first round.
He had a lot of the playoffs off. He's going to have a lot of time to himself. So that'll be good. You need a mug that says LeBron's sexual tears. Bronze sexual tears. That would be funny. That would be good. $2 super chat from AJ. Ryan, I hear the 76ers are trading Ben Simmons. They're trying to. But I don't know who's going to want to give what they want for him. Ben Simmons is pathetic. Ben Simmons is a project. He's fucking garbage compared to what he could have gotten in a deal 2 years ago. So, and he's cut off communication with them. He's not talking to the Sixers front office. He's blaming them for a lot of it. He's saying, I only want to play for these teams. Not the way to go about it. Ben Simmons is a disaster. $2 from Bert. Ryan will be streaming this afternoon. I will be streaming this afternoon on my channel, like always. So that'll be fun. But we are going to call it because I got some stuff to do. I got to pick somebody up at the airport. One more Streamlabs from Sandy Q for $10. Love both of your channels, and I'm so happy for your success. A civilized society needed sports, teamwork, healthy rivalry, aspiring to greatness and excellence. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you very much, Sandy Q. Appreciate the Streamlabs. And I appreciate all of you guys being here and streaming with us today, even though we don't have Jeremy, which is a fucking relief, honestly. So it was a break from Jeremy is a good thing for everyone. John, what do you guys got going on at Black and White? Can you hear me, John? John. Hello. He just muted himself. Can you hear me? Something's going on with John right now. Something's going on with John, but go check out Black and White Sports. They're doing so much stuff. The Rhodes and Matrix show, or the Matrix and Rhodes show, Black and White Live, Black and White Sports. There's a lot of sports stuff that they're covering all the time. So make sure you guys check out all of their channels.
I'm back. Were you saying something?
I was saying, what do you guys got going on?
I don't know what happened. Like my speakers just dropped out.
That's good. I was just saying, what do you guys got going on?
Oh, I don't know. Just videos, really.
There you go.
Nothing new.
Check out the entire Black and White network. Check out their website. Go support them too for some extra content. But thank you to John for appearing with me. Thank you to all you guys for being here in the chat. I will be going live on my channel a little bit later at 3:30 Pacific time, 6:30 Eastern. I'll see all you guys there. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you later. Peace.